This is how to make a teddy bear. There are two pieces of cut fabric. One is for the front and the other is for the back. First, grab one piece and check the inside and outside of the fabric. The side where the pattern is clearly visible is the surface of the fabric. Then, place the outer side on the top. This is a plain label that will be placed on the side of the doll. You can check the cut and folded side of the label. The cut edge should be placed even with the body's edge. Align the sides here. The placement of the label from the bottom is about 7 cm above from the foot. Please mark the point lightly to wash the point later. We recommend the use of water erasable pens. The bottom edge of the label is placed on the marking. Please fix it by the pins. Attaching the label is optional. Now, take the other body piece. We will face the inside of the fabric upwards. The inside of the fabric does not show any pattern. Draw a sewing line around the doll. The stitch line is 8 cm away from the edge of the fabric. Please draw the curves and bends of the face and arms as instructed. This is very important to make the doll pretty. Draw the line around the edge. Mark 5 cm as a filler hole. Do not sew the filler hole. This will be sewn in the end after filling with fiber. Take the body fabric with the attached label and place it together. Face the outsides of the fabric on top of each other. Please overlap the two fabrics carefully. Pin the two fabric together so it will not move while sewing. Leave the filler opening open. Start the back stitching from here. This is a 90-degree curved point. We will turn the sewing here. Please sew by the point where it is curved. Sew by the point and turn again. Sew after turn. We will make the clipping seam allowance later. This part should be sewn carefully to avoid cutting off the stitching line. For every cornered point of the stitching area, turn the dough fabric to make an angle stitch. Keep stitching towards the filler hole. This is the filler hole. Secure a knot. Now, we will clip the seam allowance. Please check our paper instructions for the points to clip. When you have a concave curve or an interior corner which needs to be turned right side out, you will need to clip to release the tension of the seam allowance. When you clip a seam allowance, you make a series of small cuts perpendicular to the edge of the fabric. Be careful not to cut too close to the stitchings. Reverse the fabric through the opening. Check the shape of the doll. Draw the sewing lines on the armholes. We will stitch the armhole line after filling with fiber using the running stitch. Break up the fiber fill to avoid lumps in the doll. You can now fill with fiber fill. First, we will put fiber fill into the arm line. Fill in the ends of the arm first. Check the shape while filling. When adding fiber fill, put the seam allowance in one direction. The doll will look pretty when finished. Push the fiber fill in and hold it by hand to sew. Sew along the line using the running stitch. Secure a knot after stitching. Then, pull the needle through the doll, away from the knot, and cut it. When cutting, make sure to pull the thread tightly so that there is no string remaining after cutting. Fill the other side as well. Repeat steps from the other arm. Now, fill the entire doll with the fiber fill. Fill the farthest side point first. Close the opening with slip stitch. The starting point of the slip stitch should overlap the stitch bio, 5 centimeters. Here is the opening. We will start from here. Stitch 5 centimeters away from the opening edge, overlapping the exist stitch. Start inside of the seam allowance. Pull the needle out from the inside of the fabric and fold the seam allowance toward the inside. Move the needle to the other fabric and make a small stitch. Stitch the same on the other fabric. Keep the same stitch width for both and repeat until you finish the seam. Please stitch over the opening edge 5 centimeters to overlap. This will avoid broken stitches. Secure the knot. Make one more knot. Sew the needle towards the body, away from the thread, and cut the thread as short as possible. Shape the doll. Let's give the doll a face. First, let's draw some eyes, nose, and the mouth shown in the instructions. We'll start the embroidery from the right eye to the bottom, and then the left eye, then centering in on the nose. We will go to the nose if we need to knot. We will finish the embroidering at the nose. It will be difficult to see the knot in the nose. Start from a right eye. Using back stitching, make a small circle outside of the eye. Fill the empty space inside the eye by sewing back and forth. When you're done, move towards the cheek. Using back stitching, stitch circles for the cheek. Next is the mouth. Embroider using back stitching. Start on the other cheek. When running out of thread during sewing, move towards the nose. Do not pull the thread too tight at this time. It may affect the embroidery on the cheek. Tie a knot. Take the needle away and cut the thread after knotting. Continue the embroidery. Next is the left eye. This will be the same as the other eye. When you have finished embroidering the eye, go to the nose. Like the eyes, make a border around the nose using backstitching. Then go back and forth with the needle and fill it in. After making the knot, take the needle away and cut it. Now, we will move on to how to make the tail. Mark 7 centimeters from the bottom. Place the fabric with the clear side facing up. We will now sew the tail using back stitching 2 centimeters from the edge of the tail fabric. Place the needle between the tail fabric, the body fabric, and pull it out. The knot of the thread will be between the body fabric and the tail fabric. Use back stitching around the tail. Don't finish sewing. Leave an ½ inch opening to add fiber fill. Add fiber fill. Finish stitching. When sewing is finished, gently lift the tail fabric. Pull out the needle between the tail fabric and the body fabric. Knot the thread. Make another knot in the same spot. Then, take the needle away and cut. Let's give the doll some clothes now. Face the 2 pieces of clothing fabric together. The outer side of the fabrics should be faced inwards. Mark the arm openings 2 centimeters from the top. Mark the sewing line on the sides. The stitch line is 8 cm from the end of the fabric by the opening hole. Leave 4.5 cm openings on each side of the fabric for the arms. Proceed drawing the stitching line towards the bottom. The seam allowance width is 8 cm. These openings will be the armholes for the doll. Pin the fabrics. Stitch along the drawing lines. Use running stitching for this part. Running stitch. Now, turn the clothes inside out. Start using the running stitching around the arm opening to fix the seam allowance. Fold the seam allowance inward by 8 centimeters. Mark a small point 5 centimeters away from the opening. Pull the needle out from the inside out to hide the knot. Grab one layer of fabric and apply running stitch. Running stitching. Stitch both ends, top and bottom, several times for reinforcement of the area. Try putting the doll's arm in, and then remove it. The stitching can be easily released. Make a strong stitching. Stitch the other side. Like the other side, stitching several times will make the stitching strong. Put the needle through and make a knot. make the other side using the same stitching. We will now stitch the hem. Fold the seam allowance inwards 8 centimeters. Fold the seam allowance evenly. Use running stitching for both top and bottom seams. Pull the needle through the clothes to finish and knot the thread. Finish the stitching. Let's dress the doll now. Good job on finishing your organic handmade doll. Hope to see you again soon.